Thank you, Aqueduct, for sponsoring this video.
Hey, welcome back to Clearwater Chronicles. Today we're talking about spa startup, what you actually need, what to use, and which chemical kit makes the most sense for your setup. Now, this particular spa is built into the pool system, so it shares plumbing, water, and circulation with the pool itself. And that means we don't really start it up separately like a standalone hot tub. But it's still a great example for a quick tip. Even if you're running an attached spa like this, it's still not a bad idea to have smaller bottles of spa chemicals on hand, especially things like pH balancer, defoamer, or metal prevent. They're great to have around in a pinch when you don't necessarily want to open up your really large bottles of pool chemicals, or when you just need to treat the spa itself. All right, time to switch locations. I've got a brand new inflatable spa to set up, and I'll walk you through how you'd use an actual starter kit to get your water dialed in from scratch. Okay, so let's talk spa starter kits. These pre-packed bundles usually fall into two categories, either chlorine or bromine based. Either one will work, but both have a few key differences that may affect which one you want to choose for your spa. Now, your chlorine kits are fast acting, they're easier to use, they're budget friendly, they're great for inflatable and your plug and play spas, but they need more frequent dosing. Now, the bromine kits, like the one you see here, have a gentler smell, they're more stable in hot water, which makes them great for spas that are used more frequently or your larger acrylic spas. You do need a floater, which comes with this kit, and although bromine is slightly less troublesome to maintain, it's slightly more expensive to maintain than your chlorine-based system.
Bromine is also a little gentler, less likely to cause hair or clothing color changes.
And you definitely want to think about all those factors, because whichever sanitizer you go with, whether it's bromine or chlorine, you're kind of stuck with the decision at least until you drain the spa. Now, just to clarify, when I talk about plug-and-play spas, I'm really talking about not only the fact that it plugs into your regular 110 outlet, but also the way that it's used. Acrylic spas can come in versions that you can plug right into your normal standard 110 outlets, but they can also come needing a dedicated 220. Those spas are usually used more often than your plug-and-plays and your inflatables. Your plug-and-play units and your inflatables also heat more slowly. They don't always come with feeders, so chlorine ends up being easier and more practical for most folks. But if you have a plug-and-play, inflatable, or acrylic spa and you want to run bromine, you absolutely can. You just have to have a floater like the one that comes in this kit and enough circulation to make sure those tablets are getting dissolved evenly. Now, in your chlorine-based kit, you're going to get your chlorine granules, your pH up and down, your alkalinity adjuster, your stain and scale preventer, your clarifier, defoamer, and test strips.
You're also going to get the chlorine-free shock and the calcium increaser that you see.
Now, in your bromine-based starter kit, you're going to get your bromine tablets, you're going to get that floater we talked about, you're also going to get some bromine booster, some non-chlorine shock, just like with the other one. You're also going to get some calcium hardness increaser, some metal prevent, the pH up and down, the defoamer, and also the test strips. Both of these kits are designed to take the guesswork out of spa care and help you get your water balanced right from day one. You want to fill it using clean water, which I've already done. Preferably use a hose filter to reduce sediment and metals. All right, and since we only use our spa on a seasonal basis and it is an inflatable, which takes longer to heat, I use chlorine as my sanitizer.
So I'm going to walk you through how to do a fresh fill startup
using Aqueduct's chlorine starter kit. Go ahead and turn on your pump, get that water moving. Circulation is key before you add any chemicals. The first thing I'm going to add is some stain and scale preventer. This will protect the spa's surfaces and internal parts from metal stains or scale buildup. In my case, I only need about an ounce of this product. Now, remember to have your water circulating. It may not look like mine is, but it is. The bubbles are just not on, but the water is actually going in and out of the pump like it's supposed to. This product is dosed at 2 ounces per 500 gallons. My spa is less than half of 500 gallons, so I'm putting in less than 1 ounce. And in case you're wondering, you can easily measure what you're putting in by the chart on the back. Next, you're going to use these test strips to test the alkalinity and pH and adjust if necessary. Or if you're lucky enough to have an Eagle Ray digital tester, it's much easier. But for the purposes of this video and showing you the kit, I'm going to use the test strips. So all you want to do is dip it. You're going to wait about 15 seconds and then compare it to the chart on the bottle. And to be fair, I never use these. I always use a digital tester, but I just want to show you how to use them. After waiting about 15 seconds, It appears that our pH is okay, but it appears that our alkalinity might need to go up a little bit. Now, you may be wondering, is it enough to just have the spa running? Should I have the jets on or the air blowers going too while I'm adding chemicals? And the answer is yes. You should have one or the other on while you're adding chemicals. I didn't do it earlier because I wanted you to be able to hear me. But given the amount of cicadas that are out today, I don't know if it's actually going to make a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the air bubbles on. And since my alkalinity was low, I'm going to use the alkalinity booster today. And you want to add this product 1 ounce at a time. So I'm going to put 1 ounce into the circulating water and then retest in a while to see where I'm at. 1 ounce is 2 tablespoons. So your ideal alkalinity range is going to be 80 to 120 parts per million. The easiest way to achieve that is just add 1 ounce or 2 tablespoons, let your water circulate for 30 minutes or so, retest it, and then if you have to, add another ounce and retest it in another 30 minutes until you get to that ideal range of 80 to 120 parts per million. Now, when I originally tested the water, my pH was in the sweet spot between 7.2 and 7.8. However, when you adjust your alkalinity, that could also affect your pH. When you retest, you'll want to make sure you're still in that sweet spot. And if you're not, you can use either one of these products to bring your pH up or down. They're both dosed in ounces as well. And after retesting my spa, I found that my pH and my alkalinity were both in the sweet spot, but my hardness was a little bit low, which really surprised me because with my pool, it always runs a little bit high and I have to manage it, which just goes to show you that having a starter kit with all these available chemicals is really handy because this is a product that I would never have had for my pool, but I really need for my spa. So I'm going to bring my hardness up a little bit with this calcium increaser. And of course, just like with all the other chemicals we use, we're going to come back in a while and retest the levels just to make sure we're where we need to be. And now we've retested everything and everything is exactly where I want it to be. It's time to add the sanitizer, and for us, remember, we're using the chlorine kit, so we're going to use chlorine granules to sanitize. And the dosing for startup is 6 teaspoons for every 500-gallon spa you have. Mine is a little less than half, so I'll use a little less than half of that at about 2.5 teaspoons. Now, your startup kit also comes with some chemicals that you use fairly commonly. One of them is this chlorine-free shock, which is good to use if your chlorine levels are fine, but your spa water is a little cloudy, maybe you've had heavy use, or maybe it's just smelling a little funky. It's an oxidizer which will help your chlorine work more effectively. Dosing on this is going to be 2 ounces for every 500 gallons or just under an ounce for a spa like mine. Now all it's really left to do is just to let it run for a couple hours uncovered. Remember not to get in it until chlorine levels are between 3 and 5 parts per million. And that's it. After startup, maintenance is usually just checking the water a few times a week and topping it off with sanitizer and balancing agents as needed. Periodically, you're going to find yourself reaching for clarifier, defoamer, and the non-chlorine-free shock. I'll go into these products in more detail in future videos, but for right now, just know that it's a good idea to have small bottles of these things on hand. Now, if you have one of those really nice 220 volt acrylic spas, or if you just prefer bromine over chlorine, remember, Aqueduct has that bromine kit too. That includes everything you need: the floater, tablets, balancers, shock, and more. Same exact idea, just tailored to a different type of spa use. If you found this helpful, then hit that like button and consider subscribing for more pool and spa tips. And if you've got questions about your own setup or which kit to go with, drop a comment below. I do read them and I try to reply as often as I can. If you need a startup kit for your spa and want to check reviews and pricing, I'll link both of those in the description. Those are affiliate links and they do help the channel at no extra cost to you. I really appreciate it when you use those. Thanks for watching Clearwater Chronicles, and I'll see you in the next one.